Hey everyone, Jem here, coming back to YouTube. You know, I recently watched Over the Hedge with my girlfriend, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved it. Loved it so much, in fact, that we're gonna make a model of it. So go ahead, get comfy, and we'll begin. Alright everybody, let's start the block out of these wonderful characters. Fortunately, as a cartoon, we're dealing with very simple shapes. So we got a sphere here, then we got another one here, and then look, we have a little sphere here that's gonna come out like a butt, right? You're gonna pinch it in, gonna go right there. Now, appendages like right here, Greg's arm, we got Wirt's leg, those are just gonna be tubes. So I'll put those in blue, and we're gonna pose those tubes as we see fit. Even though Wirt's body is covered, we're just gonna do two sections and have his legs connect to it. And then we're gonna do those tubes for the arms as well. More spheres for the eyes. We're gonna draw in the mouths. Obviously right here on his nose, there's a cone. Ears are also spheres. We're gonna use lathe to make that pot for Greg's excellent elephant costume. For Mr. President, we're gonna do a lot of spheres. Same for the eyes. Little tube action for the mouth. Gonna add more spheres for the various parts of the legs and feet. And then Beatrice, of course, sphere there. Another one for her body. We're gonna pull out the arms and her wings with more spheres. And then we'll build the leg with spheres as well. And how could I forget this big cone? We're gonna do a cone right there in the most simple shape you'll ever see. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so essentially what we're gonna be doing here is putting our master plan into effect. You're gonna be seeing consistent use of replicated shapes. These, of course, all being a lot of spheres, cylinders, cones, all in the appropriate places. Oftentimes, you have to get a little creative. As you can see, I'm using a really distorted sphere for Wirt's cape. The neat part about all this, though, is that in time, you'll see all the shapes begin to fall into place. I promise you this stuff isn't rocket science. A lot of my friends who have either seen me make these models or want to get into it themselves or just want to get into any form of art, especially when it comes to doing character modeling or just character design, ask, what advice do you have? You know, how do you do it? How is it that you're able to capture shapes? I remember quite a while ago, say maybe like a year or so ago, as I was new into this stuff, I remember seeing this piece of advice while I was trying to gather some insight from the oh so wonderful YouTube, how to become a better modeler. And this person said that, of course, it doesn't just apply to modeling, but when it comes to trying to replicate characters or do fan art of any kind, the best thing that you could do is to look and see. Well, you could turn back around and be like, yeah, duh. But what this person went on to clarify was that it's learning about shapes in relation to each other. And to take this a step further, it's more about understanding the relationships of these shapes. Just like this right here, putting everything together and understanding proportions, ratios, shape language, and direction. And once you get that, well, I mean, you're golden. You can pretty much make whatever you want. Now, of course, the skill and the refining of those skills is going to come later. I by no means am any expert. You know, I don't think that I'm the next Michelangelo or anything. But I've recognized that with time, from my very first model to what I've done recently, there is a bit of a change. And a lot of that change comes from developing your eye. Take the majestic Jason Funderburker right here. How do the eyes, lips, and head all sit in relation to each other, with the head now being in relation to the body, the limbs, how do they bend, and how do they sit on top of Greg's fantastic elephant costume? Once you've built all of your key structures and are happy with the sculpt itself, for the purpose of presentation, let's just add some colors. Again, I'm no Dali. You just gotta add these colors to make all your different pieces pop and emphasize that relation to each other. I will say that often the beginning is the most discouraging part because you see the disparity between what you want your model or piece to become versus what it currently is. I'm telling you that it is going to pay off. Trust me. All right, well, here is the finished model. Of course, they're going to need to be set in a woodland setting. Here's some less edited shots and some close-ups just to show you some of the detail work with each of the individual characters in the environment. My hope is to someday get this printed and painted and see how it'll look as a display piece on top of a counter or on a TV stand or something along those lines. So, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if this video was helpful and if you want to see more like this. My aim is to make YouTube a lot more consistent. I had a lot of fun making this, and it feels good to be back. I have a ton of models that I've made that I can't wait to share with you guys. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll check in with you later. Bye-bye.